Hello everyone, and welcome back. So today I wanted to talk about lures, specifically plugs, hard baits, that kind of deal. So I've noticed a trend recently where people are telling you not to buy Chinese and telling you not to buy cheap, which is very easy for somebody to agree with, especially if they don't know anything. And adversely, then at the same time, a lot of these people are kind of getting you to buy these more expensive Japanese imported lures. Sometimes they may or may not have an affiliate link, or they may or may not have their own tackle shop that is selling you these things, but that's not for me to say, that's for you to find out. So I personally have been experimenting with using TEMU lures for the past, God, what's it been? A year? Something like that? And in more recent times, I've purchased a good few more. I initially did this for a thing for the Angler's Compendium, which is my monthly fishing magazine, and I wanted to kind of compare the two of them and see how they, see how they worked. So let's say I'd get a derivative of something that looks sort of like a bass minnow, except is maybe slightly different or slightly longer or something else, and pick that up, and then I'll also swim the Savage Gear bass minnow. In case you guys don't know, actually, how could you know? I haven't told anybody. I ordered a Savage Gear bass minnow the other day, which is a pretty new bass lure from Savage Gear, and I rolled it in to my feet in a situation that's exactly like this: sand, sand, sand onto just a few pebbles. Reeled it in just like I did here. It touched off the pebbles, and the back of it broke. All the ball bearings slipped out all over the place, and that lure is effectively useless. By the way, Savage Gear will literally not get back to me regarding that. They keep like linking me different people to email, and then I email them, and I don't know, it's been like 10-15 days. Regardless, I'm not here to moan about this. I'm here to give you something useful. So I want you to stop looking at lures when it comes to brands and that kind of stuff and going, this is what I need to be getting. I need to be getting this. I need to be getting that. Sure, if you're a flipping multimillionaire and you want to go nuts and you want to spend all the money there is in the world on lures, fantastic. I'm great for great for you. You're probably supporting these guys' R&D department. Probably the plebeians like me and everybody else will eventually be able to kind of avail, because they're going to come up with some crazy fucking lure that's going to catch everything, right? But until that point, the rest of you, like me, are normal people, okay? And what I want for normal people, and what a normal person wants, is they want just value for money. They want it to be effective and just have value for money. That's what you're looking at out of these lures, because they are products at the end of the day. And something I want to touch on in this video is that all these TEMU lures that I've tested, compared to their derivatives, and even when I've looked up lures that I've never bought ever because they're ridiculously expensive, like the certain Imasasukes and stuff, especially this one in this limited edition. Southside Angling wanted some stupid price for it. Like, they wouldn't even tell you what the price was in their Instagram story, so I didn't even want to think about it. But when I look at the videos of some of these lures that I bought knockoffs off on TEMU, and I looked at how they swim then, and I look at when I cast them, I'm not joking, it's the exact same. I would not be able to spot the difference, and I'm somebody who really, really gives a shit about lures and is really, really passionate about lure fishing in particular, and I really, really can't spot a difference. That's sort of kind of what I'm going to get to this, to the point of this video is, it's just make sure that instead, when you see all these lures that are doing particularly well, I'm not saying ignore that. I'm not saying ignore that they're doing really, really well over certain marks, or let's say people are catching with them in your areas. That's fine. You can look at something like that and be like, yeah, that's exactly what I want. But instead of thinking, I need to go and say, what's the name of that lure, as in you're going to go buy that original lure, I would 100% recommend that you go on TEMU or AliExpress. I think some people still use it. I prefer TEMU, a little bit faster delivery here to Ireland, I think. And just look for a knockoff with the same profile, same delivery, and roughly same weight. If you have the same profile, the same kind of lip at the front, the same weight, and the same mills, I would be shocked if it didn't swim the same way. The music has cut out, and I'm not going to keep looping it because I just want to help zone in with me here. Okay, lock in. I've also realized that past this first bit of voice recording that I did, I went and just went to go find pictures, to kind of overlay and show you guys exactly what I mean. So here's just a sample section from angling shop in Dublin. Okay, and these is the kind of price that everything is sitting at. Everything's like 30 something euro. And these are the lures that most people, this is what I mean when people are recommending these lures. I've heard the names of lots of these lures kind of been tossed around and they go pick this up and pick that up and pick this up and pick that up. And this is the one. If you look at that popper in the top left there, I'm sure it was like a one-to-one identical popper. And I was casting that this summer and catching bluefish on it. And I think I spent maybe €4.50 on it. I haven't checked the action on it because, to be honest, the action on big cup poppers like that is kind of almost always the same. But the price differences are just so drastic. So as you can see, this one's sitting at 31.95. I bought one in summer for much, much cheaper. I'm sure I'll have it on screen now afterwards. But all the other lures that I'm going to compare in the rest of this video, I thought I spent 7, €8 per some of these lures, and I looking back on it, I actually didn't. Um, a lot of them are like €4. Like this one here, which is almost the identical sister to the Savage Gear Bass Minnow, which is behind me, which is the lure that snapped off on me. And the one in the foreground is €3.07, and the one in the back is 15. I mean, this one has a slightly longer profile, as you can see, about 10, 15 mil difference, and an increase in weight, so it's got more ball bearings in it. So again, it doesn't cast like it casts further and doesn't swim exactly one-to-one the same. Um, and the only reason I still have that bass minnow is because, I bought it, I haven't broke it. And the reason why I bought this other one was just so I could have something slightly larger in profile. This is kind of what I'm getting at. It's kind of a little bit of a common sense approach in the sense that um, it shouldn't be names and stuff of lures that you're looking at, but instead it should always be kind of the profile, the lip, and the weight and kind of what the action looks like. There's going to be a little bit of tinkering and experimentation, especially when you're buying stuff, Chinese. You don't really know exactly totally what you're getting until you get your hands on it, and then you see. But in that same way, I think even a bit of trial and error, like it would take me a lot of trial and error to kind of account for example, this popper lure, this 31.95. I bet you I could find an identical one, within one search. And let's say if I bought two or three for, I'd say, maximum of €9, that's still 3 times less of a price than what I'm paying for this full price one lure. Okay, so just get it in your mind that there's no magic inherent in lures. Even though as much as I like to believe that sometimes that my more expensive lures are more magical than some cheap Chinese knockoff I bought, they're not. They really really aren't. And the more and more I fish, the more and more I know that, and the more and more I realize that. And there's some like super super cheap lures that fish really 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 well, and and that's because of the profile of the action and everything else. And n- basically, if you just do exactly what I said, if you look at the lures that you want on whatever site, and then you just type in on Temu kind of roughly the what the measurements are, or AliExpress or whatever your Chinesium plug looks like, um, you will more than likely find something, and it will fish the exact same way. The Imasasuke, which I think is the one actually in the limited edition colorway, which is on the left-hand side there, that's a knockoff. It looks one to one the same as the one they have on the Savage Gear website. Or, for example, this one I'm holding here is a little needle lure, which I actually couldn't find in this perfect size that I wanted it. Savage Gear sold one, but it was a much larger size. I wanted a smaller needlefish lure. I paid, I think, €7 for three of these. And just understand, you know, they swim and their action is fantastic, like really, really, really good. And a lot of these is on par. So, for example, even that Rapala that you see on the right side there, the kind of grayish, tiny little Rapala, um, that is a Rapala Countdown Elite Max Wrap or something like that, or Countdown Elite at the very least. And I was told by the people in Setsan Angling when I went in, I think 3 years ago, to buy that one. Oh yeah, that this is great for sea bass, right? And again, it's that same shit. Yeah, this is great. This is what's catching loads of fish now. I've never heard anybody catch something on a countdown, like a bass on a countdown elite. But anyways, that's besides the point. I got marketed this, and I bought this for €20 on the spot. And I understand I paid for the convenience of being in the shop, but like if I knew that I could for 5, 6 euro, and if I waited, 11 or 12 days for the Temu order to arrive, get the same lure and pay one quarter of the price. And technically, if I put the same amount of money in, get four of that lure, or one of that one and three of anything else, I would have done that in a heartbeat. And I just feel like there isn't as much availability to this sort of information out there as I would like it. I feel like I see more videos kind of disparaging some Timu stuff than I see actually kind of praising it and saying, "Hold on a second, this is actually like really good." I think maybe because it might be slightly controversial. I understand it runs against the interests of lots of kind of bigger YouTube channels who have sponsorships and stuff, and people are buying from the tackle shop with their code, or they're buying from their own personal tackle shop that the YouTuber is running. Um, but in some of these cases, I've seen some of these people like on their own site, like list these lures at like ridiculous prices, like even worse than this here. So some of them are like 40, 50 euro, and then they like discount them from 50 down to something. And this kind of just inflates the price of these lures in the mind of the consumer and the angler. And what that means is, you're leaving that, especially if it's an online shop, then you're getting double fucked. All right, because you're still having to wait for delivery. You still don't have the convenience of just picking it up straight away. And it could just be cheaper if you just bought it Chinese. The quality of a lot of these lures, I would vouch for seriously. I cast them all into rocks because they're cheap. I cast them all into rocks and did stuff I'd never do with my more expensive Rapalas. So I would never put my lovely, lovely, trusted Rapala X-Rap, which is like the first lure I've basically ever bought. If you watched episode 2 of Beginner Fishing Guide, I would never cast that into like rocks or something like really, really stupid. But I would do that with like a cheaper lure. Um, it plays into your psyche when you're casting 20, 30, 40, 50 euro out every single time, and you're not going to feel as confident when it comes to, putting that on the position where the fish will be there. Because a lot of the times fish are in really, really snaggy, shitty spots that are very, very hard for us to reach. And that's kind of, the whole crux of this. Um, I want you guys to basically spend less money. I want you to kind of experiment and figure out, what profiles is it that work in your area. It'll give you a better understanding of lure fishing in general. If you look at like the lures that are catching, learn like kind of what profile it is that's working on, and then you can experiment a little bit laterally. You don't have to wait for, IMA or some other massive Japanese brand to kind of come out with something new and then only buy that and fish that. Um, it's just I feel like it requires a little bit more open-mindedness when it comes to this stuff, because people do just seem to engage in circular thinking where they go, okay, yeah, cool, I'll buy this, Savage Gear make this, and I'll buy this, Emma make this, and I'll buy this, Rapala make this. And they're basically just buying it because the brand says it's good and the brand says it'll catch fish. And what that's teaching us is to kind of buy just with brands and, kind of fish with our wallets and look at things that are like flashy and attractive to us instead of fish like what is actually working in our local areas. Um, one small tiny anecdote before I leave. There is a Savage Gear lure that I used a lot this summer in my spin fishing for bluefish in Istria video that did quite well earlier at a point last year. And that was the Panic Prey V2, right? So that's a Savage Gear lure. I got kind of an identical shape and profile one, but slightly larger by maybe 20, 30 millimeters on Temu. It's also slightly heavier because it has an extra ball bearing, and I think it's probably larger. The action on the top water is basically exactly the same. I fished the exact same way. I know that lure inside and out because I spent so much time catching bluefish with it. Um, that like I know how it swims and I know how to interact with it. The Temu one is 1-to-1. Like these people that are making all these knockoffs probably just 3D scan the flipping thing, and it's 1-to-1. I really, really don't want you guys to get ripped off. I know, especially when it comes to my audience and people who are only getting into fishing, for the first time. Sometimes it's like a bit of a younger crowd, and they're wanting to get their parents to like spend a shit ton of money. I'm telling you guys, you really, really, really don't have to. I think it's going to be a huge waste of time for you. I think it's going to lead to a lot of disappointment, a lot of buyer's remorse. Plenty of times I bought like a really expensive lure, and then I go, why did I do that? And then that feeling from when you lose it then is like really, really bad. Um, so like, you cast that alert, it's like 20 euro, and you're like, fuck, like that's an hour's work fucking gone. And or whatever it is, you're just it's just such a disappointing feeling, and one that I can hopefully shield you guys from. Anyways, I know this has been sort of different to maybe other content you might have seen, kind of a long monologue style with not much background music over it, but I really just wanted to, get this point across that you don't need to be spending your entire wallets in these shops. When you do that, you're just supporting all these really, really big companies. Now, sure, they do great R&D and they do the research and development which goes into that, and there could be a way that you could justify this to yourself in that way. But when it comes down to the angler, and at the end of the day, the regular person on the beach who's fishing away, um, this is what I'd recommend to do. Um, buy the knockoffs, buy the cheaper stuff, experiment around with what profiles, what colors, what kind of um, swim techniques work the best for the lures in your region, and just work that out backwards. You'll learn more about lure fishing. You'll be more switched on when it comes to, what it is you're actually looking for and how you should be presenting your lures to the fish. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this kind of longer rant style video. I'll definitely leave it off now. I don't think there's much else to say on this topic. I feel like I've exhausted it more than it was ever thought possible. And I hope you've enjoyed anyway. God bless you all. Tight lines and goodbye.